Just talk to us about, it seemed as though analysts were a bit worried about the conservative nature of your forward-looking guidance, so the first quarter forecast. Talk to us about the shift to compute. Why will it pay off eventually? Because perhaps you're pulling back on as and when it will pay off.
Yeah, the compute market is enormous, well north of $100 billion a year. And Akamai is in a great position to tap into that market with our launch of Akamai Connected Cloud. We already have a platform with over 4,000 locations doing edge computing or function as a service. And now we're integrating in Linode and growing it so that we'll have a core cloud compute functionality and a distributed compute functionality. So containers and VMs can get a lot closer to end users around the world. And by putting it all together, we're going to be able to offer major enterprises better performance for a lot of compute function at a lower price point. And cost is a big issue today with the cloud. And that's a place where I think Akamai can really help.
So when RBC's analyst says you're going all in on compute, we would wait for evidence it can pay off before getting back involved in your stock. When can they get back involved? When will it pay off for you, do you think, Tom?
Well, I think now is a great time to get involved. We obviously weren't happy with the sell-off today, but I think Akamai is at a great value now. And as we do the build-out this year and add the functionality, we'll be signing up more customers. I've had the chance to meet with senior executives at many of the world's leading media companies, commerce companies, and they are very excited about being able to use Akamai Connected Cloud. They care a lot about performance, they care about getting their apps close to end users, and they care about cost. And so I think you'll see increasing numbers of large enterprises start to adopt Akamai Connected Cloud, and then that'll translate into substantial revenue growth for Akamai down the road.
Tom, you mentioned costs. I think one specific complaint from the street I'd point out is they're worried about you taking on the likes of AWS and Azure on price. RBC, for example, says that's a pretty tough value proposition. Is that your strategy, to take on the big boys when it comes to price?
Well, yeah, we've been competing with the cloud giants for over 10 years. And we still have the market-leading delivery solutions and the market-leading security solutions, despite competing with the hyperscalers. In fact, the hyperscalers are some of our largest customers. They use those services from Akamai, even though we're competing with them. And now we're going to compete on core cloud compute too. And I think it'll be a compelling value proposition for major enterprises. Also, it's good to realize we're not a threat to the hyperscalers. We're going after a 1 or 2% market share over the next few years, which for us is huge. That's billions of dollars, which makes a big difference to Akamai. But they've got businesses that are growing 15% a year, and if Akamai manages to take 1 or 2%, that's not going to slow them down. So I don't think they're worried about, oh, they got a lower price to compete with Akamai.
You talked on the call about new segmentation customers. I just wondered if you could talk us through some of the areas where you feel you're winning. What kind of customers are they? What sectors are spending money with you right now?
Yeah, for segmentation, that's the companies that have mission critical functions, key infrastructure, banks, utilities, companies that can't afford to be hit with ransomware. And increasingly, you're seeing the government authorities require a solution there. And Guardicore now is recognized as the market leader. So I think, over time, pretty much every major enterprise is going to need that solution. But today, it's starting with mission critical infrastructure.